Hi all. So in this video we'll learn about how we can reverse a singly linked list. So we have a singly linked list, but we all know that in a singly linked list we can only traverse in the direction of these arrows, right? We cannot go backward once we have moved forward because the movement is sequential. We can move only in one direction, right? So here we have these singly linked list, and this way we can traverse, right? And here we have our final last node that has the next pointer as null, and we have the head that contains the address of the very first node, and hence we can traverse in this direction. Now when the question comes of reversing this linked list, then definitely these arrows need to be shifted in this direction, okay, right? And instead of null, here we need to have the address of this pointer, right? And this head would be pointing somewhere to here, this node, right? This link needs to be broken, and here we need to have the null value, okay? So for this to happen, we need to just update the link of each of these nodes. There is no insertion, no any kind of deletion. There is just an update of the corresponding links. Okay. So for this, we are going to have three pointers P, Q, and R. Okay. I would tell you the significance of these three pointers. So P will keep the track of the current node. Okay. Q will keep the track of the next node, which is essential when we are updating these links. So we need to update this link. So that is why we need to keep a track of these two nodes. Okay. And R will be a temporary pointer which will be used for making this interchange possible. Okay, so let's begin with this implementation. Okay, so node pointer reverse, this will be the return type because we are returning the address of the new head of the new reversed linked list. Okay, and here we are passing the actual head. Okay, now we have these three pointers here: node pointer P, pointer Q, and pointer R, and all are already set to null. So pointer P is equal to null, sorry, P equal to null, Q equal to null, and R equal to null, right? Now initially at the beginning we'll make the value of, let's suppose, R point to our head. Okay, and we are making the R as pointing to the head. So R will contain the head. Now before implementing, we'll see just a single thing. Let's suppose P in PQR, R is pointing to the head, right? And here we need to have the value null, and we need to move this sequence. So Q, so if R is pointing to 100, then definitely we need to point Q to the next of R. Let's suppose P is not, our temporary pointer for now. Since we have assigned the value of head to R, so let's assume P is our temporary pointer and R is currently pointing to the very first node. Okay, let's rename this. Okay, and yeah. Okay, so this is our R, this is our Q, and this is our P. Okay, so naming is just for convention. So this R contains the head. Q, so R would be pointing first to the first node, and Q will be pointing to the next of R. Okay, why we are keeping the track of the next pointer? Because we, for this link to be updated, we need to have these two pointers. So every time this will move ahead and this will move one step ahead of this. Okay, and P currently contains null. Okay, now we need to update this part as some value present in P. Okay, And if this is updated to null here, like if this is updated to p, then what will happen? This is no longer pointing to this, of course. But before doing that, we need to update this value 200, right? This is the value actually containing. So this is a link passing to this. So we need to actually take out this value, that is the 200, and we need to move it to q, so that now q points to this pointer. Okay, so when we have r pointing to the first node, we need to pick out this 200 and put it in the another pointer q, which now points to this part, right? And instead of this value, now we are placing in the next of r, right? So this is our r. So in the next of r, this value, we are placing the value contained in p, that is null. So now this part is broken, or in fact this contains the null, so this part is broken. Now what we will do, that we will we have this node now q. Okay, so now here we will do the update. So now p will definitely contain what? P needs to be contained this value, because this is the value, this is the address of this node, right? So this node needs to be pointed by this node, particular node. So definitely we need to update the p, and what we will update here, we will update it with the value of r. Okay, that is 100. Okay, and what will be the value of r? So r will be our new node, so we have to just move there, so it will be the value contained in q. Okay, so this thing is a little bit confusing, but I will illustrate it with the help of code. So just a second. Yeah, so we have r as head. So while r, I mean while traversing throughout the linked list, we have to move till the end. So while r, what we are going to do, we are moving the q to the next of the r, first step, and in the next of r, we are placing the p. Okay, so this is step number 1, this is step number 2, and in the step number 3, what we are doing, we are updating the p with r, because r is our current node. Okay, and in step number 4, we are updating this r with q, because q is the next node, so r should be pointing to the next node, right? And then at last we are returning the p. Okay, so what is this p? This is p is our the newly contained part. I mean this p contains the, sorry, this is small p. This p is a pointer containing the address of the newly created linked list first node. Okay, so let's see how it happens. Okay, so okay, so let's illustrate it with the fresh example. Let's, for our convenience, we will have only three nodes in the linked list. Okay, so this is our three node linked list, and here we have the data, and there's a pointer. Then we have again the data, and this is the pointer, and then here 30, and here it is null since it is the last node. We have head here, and inside the head we have the first address. Okay, now let's say we have pointer r, we have pointer q, and then we have pointer p. Okay, now initially we have inside the r as 100, so r will be pointing to this node. Okay, then the second step we are saying that while r is true, so 100 is true, we are on the first node. So what we are going to do, we are inside the queue, we are placing the next of r. Next of r is 200. Okay, and now what we are doing, that we are placing the value of p, since p is null initially. That is why we have placed null in all of them. So since p is null initially, so we are placing the value of p in the next of r. Okay, so in r dot next, we are taking out the value and we are updating this pointer. Okay, so this update has been now done. Now we have to move to the next node, of course, right? So what we will do before moving to the next node, we have the next node value as 200. Okay, and this value was the updated. Here we updated it to null. So this is important. So we will put this in our temp variable, that is p. So we will update it with 200, and then we will update the q. Then we will update the r as the value of q, because we are moving to the next node, so that r points to the next node. We'll check that this node is valid node. Okay, so while r is true, then we are updating the q as the next of r. Okay, and what we are doing, we are just updating this part. Okay, so what we are doing, instead of 300, we are placing the value 200, this value. So initially this was sorry, it should be 100, right? Because this is the address 200. So this part is being updated not as q, this part is being updated as r, 100. Okay, so this way it is 100. So we are updating here as 100, right? And what we are then doing, that we already have updated here as 100, and now we are placing this as, this is the link pointing to this, and the q should be pointing to this. Okay, so the very first step we are doing, that we are updating the q as next of r. Then inside the r dot next, we are updating the value of p, and then in p we are placing the 200 value from r. Okay, and in r we are placing the q, so that this now points here. Okay, and now we have r as 300, which is the correct value. So this link is updated here currently. Okay, now r is 300 and we have 200 here. So what we are going to do, we are putting the q as next of r, that is null, and inside for r dot next here, for r dot next we are updating it with 200, so that this link is broken and there is a new link. And we are now putting the value of 300, the value of r into this p, that is 300. Okay, now we are moving this r, sorry, inside r we are moving the value of q, that is null. Okay, and then we are checking if r is equal to null or not. So it is equal to null, we'll come out of the loop and we will pass this value of p, that is 300, that is now our head pointer, back to the back out of the function. So this is a way of updating the links and reversing a linked list. Okay, I'll explain it further in the next video along with the code also. So till then, if you have any doubt, please do post it into the comments.